I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Phillip Broussard. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm doing great. I'm with some great friends tonight, and we're assembling a kitchen cabinet system for them, and they're really grateful, and so it's I'm just having a great day. I'm just having a great day.
It's wonderful. It's a great pleasure to connect with you. Tell us, what part of the world are you in right now?
I'm in Seattle,
Oh,
Seattle,
sweet,
Washington.
sweet. And which of your talents is responsible for us connecting?
So I'm a musician, and I you and I were connected through my publicist Michael Stover and his MTS management, and he's just been great, and I'm honored to be on your show. I really am. I like it a lot. I've been listening to a lot of it since we connected, and I really like a lot of the stories people have to tell.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful. So I know in your bio picture, I'm seeing you with a guitar in your hand, and you're
Yeah.
sitting in front of a mic. So
hmm
what genre of music do you sing?
So I I sing a folksy pop sound. I've always struggled with it because I was a blues guitarist for the longest time, and I grew up listening to blues music, and I got really fluent in blues guitar. And so there was a couple of people that said I should write some pop tunes, and for weddings and things like that, and so it just kind of implemented that into my music. And so I've got some pop sounding folksy sound to me, I guess, if I was to put a genre on it. Yeah.
Yes. So who did you learn the skill of playing the guitar from?
I just taught myself.
Wow.
I spent a lot of time, watching other guitarists and reading about them and reading different books on how to do it. And I just put a lot of that theory into practice.
Now, would it be putting you on the spot to give us a one-liner of your voice?
Oh, wow. That's a question I've never got. God, you're good at this. You're good at interviewing. A one-liner, describe my voice. I'd probably say, wow. I don't even know how. No, that's a good question. I've never been asked that before. I've been on a lot of radio shows lately and not encountered that question at all.
If you had to sing a line,
Uh,
then if you had to sing a line, if I said, hey, please sing a line for me, what would be the first line you'll sing of any song?
it would probably be "Waiting on the World to Change" by John Mayer.
Oh, there we go. What does that song like? I mean, do you sing? Could you sing that for me, just the one line?
Sure, yeah. Uh, Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing, and there's no way we ever could. How's that?
Love it. You are amazing. Love it. So,
You.
Philip, you've been doing this for a while. Why will you continue to what you're doing via music?
Yeah, so I just love it. I love it. I love hearing music. I love hearing new music, and my ultimate goal when I write music is to have it speak to someone's heart and have it speak to someone's soul. And it may sound cliche and maybe a bit cheesy, but there's songs that take me back to certain periods of time in my life, and they have such a strong emotional connection that sometimes hearing a certain song on the radio or something like that can actually just make me kind of my heart skip a beat and make me gasp for air just thinking about a certain period of time, maybe a time that was really sad, or maybe a time that was maybe more painful. A song can absolutely just give me goosebumps. It can take my breath away,
Yeah.
and that's what I want to provide for others.
That's awesome. Love that. Now tell me, my friend, where's the best place for people to connect with what you do, connect with your music?
So I hang out on social media routinely. Facebook is a great place to find me. I'm trying to post on there more often. I post on Twitter occasionally, but it's not my primary area there that I like to post on.
Yeah.
So Facebook and YouTube especially, because I like to post covers of songs I do. I've got a cover on YouTube Tears in Heaven by Eric Clapton that I love that song.
Sweet. Sweet. You'll definitely check that out. Now, Phillip Broussard. Broussard is the challenge to spell, but we'll spell it for you now. It's Broussard. So you could definitely check that out. Well, Phillip, tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Yeah, so I own a remodeling contracting business. So I'm a contractor, and you know I spent time growing a business, and that kind of overtook my life for a while, and it's nice to be able to get back into music. But consistently, I've absolutely consistently just been a bit of a workaholic over the last 3 years.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel drained. You know, when I'm on stage, my energy level just rises, but when I'm at work shooting nails or pounding nails or whatever, I feel my energy draining, and so I have a real passion for music, and so it makes me feel good that I'm able to get back into my real passion.
Yeah. But why would you suggest to someone that's listening, someone that has a passion for the music, do what you're doing by combining the need to eat, if you would, with the passion?
You've got to realize that your body can go without sleep a lot longer than it can without food. So make sure you feed your body, and if you really want to pursue a passion, you got to put in extra time above and beyond what it takes in order to feed yourself. So, you've got to work your regular hours at your job, and then after your job is done, that's when you are able to pursue your real passion. And then luckily music is versatile that way. When you're playing an open mic, those, a lot of times those start at 7:00, sometimes 6:30, 7:00 after work hours. So you have the opportunity to go shower and get ready to play for people. And that's one thing I like to do, is get done with work, go out and play music.
Yeah, it's like the Wayne and the Batman mode, right? So what is Wayne's last name? Oh my gosh, it's slipping me. From Batman, it's Wayne.
Now I'm getting I'm sorry, I can't even think of it.
Wow. Blank.
Same for me.
Everyone that's listening is going to be like, no, they're probably shouting his name right now.
I know. I'll probably figure it out as soon as I get off the phone.
Yeah. Well, my friend, okay, so it's Bruce Wayne. Woo! Right, Bruce Wayne. So, Phillip, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Phillip, what is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory, and this is no joke, I've remembered this ever since I was probably about 3 or 4 years old. My neighbor, when we were living in this really little house in a place called Allen, Washington, my neighbor gave me a drink of his Budweiser beer, and I was 4 years old, and I remember drinking it and thinking it was the most disgusting thing I'd ever tasted in my entire life. I immediately spit it out as soon as it touched my lips. I just couldn't believe that adults drank that. And, I got in the Navy and drank plenty of Budweiser and Bud Light. So I guess that changed for me over time.
So if you had to connect the dots to that memory, do you think it's possible to connect the dots to what you do now?
Oh, wow. Straight to that memory, I would probably say yes, because one of the parts of that is that my dad was listening to Pink Floyd, the Dark Side of the Moon album. Looking back on it, I remember hearing certain melodies and everything like that still stick in my brain. He was listening to the Dark Side of the Moon album, and he told me that story later on in life too. And he died when I was 18, but he told me that story too. He's like, you remember that when that our neighbor gave you beer? And I said, yeah. And he told me I was listening to Dark Side of the Moon, and I still remember hearing the melodies and everything back then. And I think that my dad was one of the driving forces behind my passion for music and wanting to play guitar, and so if I were to connect the dots, I'd definitely say that there's a direct path there, and it's through music.
Wow. Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I love the idea of you being that guy that has to journey and experience things and then build upon it,
Hmm.
and then make your decisions for the thing that you most desire.
Sure.
So it looks like I mean, you did the beer and then you said, you it definitely wasn't your thing, and then you did the Navy and then you did the beer again. But
Right. Yeah.
it's amazing now that you did the guitar and then you put it down for a bit, and it's amazing that you're back to the guitar again. So it's just fascinating how it's like you do things, you experience it, you put it down, and then you go again.
Hmm.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I definitely think so. And then that even if we just don't talk about that memory specifically, that's something that actually I think talks directly to my experience with guitar and music. Because after my father passed away, I put the guitar down,
Hmm.
and it wasn't until a couple years later that someone gave me a John Mayer CD, and I was just overwhelmed by the amount of talent he had on the guitar, and it made me want to get back into it. It made me want to pick up the instrument again, and so I did. And if we connect that dot even further, I went and saw a John Mayer concert this last July, and I actually had the opportunity to meet him.
Wow.
And so him and I had a conversation, and I told him straight up. I said, you know, back when back when I lost my dad after he died, someone gave me one of your albums, and I didn't think I'd be interested in anything ever again. And one of your albums made me pick up my guitar again and made me want to pursue something seriously. And he said that meant a lot to him, and he said he liked hearing that. And I told him someday, it'd be my honor if I could open up for you someday. And he's like, oh yeah, yeah. But I'm going to make that a goal of mine, is to
Love it.
reach him and open for him someday, or play with him, or get the opportunity to play guitar with him or something like that. That's one of my ultimate goals, because one of my goals was to meet him someday, and I did that.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Hey, Philip, if we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
When I was 12,
Yeah.
that's an interesting question, because when I was 12 years old, one of my favorite songs was actually an Elvis Presley gospel song. It was a song that my grandmother used to sing to me. It was my aunt. My aunt had passed away from cancer in 1997, and so one of the songs that my grandmother sang to her as she was laying on her, in her final days, was a song called Precious Lord, Take Me Home. And it was a song Elvis Presley had sung. And I remember just being incredibly moved by that song. It was just a beautiful song, and it was, my grandma had sang it to her daughter that was laying there in not in good shape, and she passed away just a few days later. And that was a song that my grandma held close to her, and so that made it important to me, and so I used to listen to that song quite often when I was struggling or when I was sad or something like that. And so I would probably say that if I were to say there was one of my favorite songs, that was definitely one of them.
Right, my friend. Wow. Well, Philip, we have arrived now at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form, so it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Philip?
I am.
Philip, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
I haven't. No.
Are you married?
I am.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you believe in God?
I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I do.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
I do not.
How about 3 hours a week?
No.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer, more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Less than 8 hours a day, but it's off and on, I would say.
If you had to share with us, Philip, a statement that represents who you are, your own unique real statement, what would you say that is?
I would say I'm someone that is passionate about what he does and pursues it to the utmost degree that I can. And I don't like to have people tell me that I can't do something, because that just drives me to don't want to do it even worse.
I can well imagine. Well, Philip, this has been a great pleasure, my friend. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I would love to. So I am going to do a shameless self-promotion here.
Go for it.
I have my I have an album coming out. It's a 5-song acoustic album, and it actually drops in 2 days, November 18th, which marks, it's special in a couple different ways. November 18th would have been my father's 60th birthday, and there's a song on there called Best Friend that talks about him. And on the album cover is a picture of me, but there's a small little I guess the album's called Wavelength, and it's a small little voice recording, in a visual image of a voice recording. And that image of that voice recording actually was me saying my father's name and his birth date. And so I got it in image format, and I added that to the cover of the album.
Sweet.
November 18th, it's called Wavelength. It's a 5-song acoustic album. It'll be available on iTunes. It'll be available on Spotify. And if people reach out to me through Facebook or what have you, they'll be able to order it online too, through my website once that gets all completed.
I love it. Well, Phillip, again, great pleasure, my friend. Thank you for being on What Is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you, Angel. I appreciate it. The pleasure was all mine.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.